Sorry about that. My thumb hit the wrong button. All right, these are the pedals. This will be your clutch, your brake, your gas pedal. And that, if I'm not mistaken, you would press, somebody be inside pressing that, and then the crank would go, and that's how you would start it. Whether it still does that or not is up to question. But I know a lot of those vehicles with the button on the bottom either was to help start it, or if it had high beams, that button on the floor was a high beam.
Nope. It's only got one bulb, so I don't think it's...
nope, it wasn't the high beam switch. They didn't have those back then.
Yeah, they didn't have that.
And you could start it yourself. You put it in neutral, set your ignition timing ahead, which is what the dial is off the steering wheel. And then you would go hit the crank it over, and as soon as it fired, you'd run around and jump inside. And then you'd either decrease or increase the timing and have access to the gas pedal.
It's an amazing vehicle.
Cars back then started a lot more reliably. You just got used to it.
What year is this again?
20.
1920.
It's 103 years old.
This is the oldest vehicle I've ever seen. The oldest vehicle I ever towed, 1927 Concorde.
That must have been something.
Most people have never even heard of the Concorde car company. They weren't owned by Ford, Dodge, and Chevy wasn't even a gleam in anybody's eye at that time period.
Most people don't realize, too, that the Dodge Brothers originally worked for Henry Ford.
Yeah, that's why the engine is so very similar to a flathead Ford. I think some of the upgrades they made were with a Ford original Model T engine. The water pump for the fan had wadding to seal it. It's wax and cloth. Dodge Brothers made an upgrade. I don't know if they made it this soon or not, but that was one of the big things that they did. Instead of they had a sealed shaft, whereas with the Ford, you had wax and cloth cotton wadding that you would stuff in there, and the shaft would spin with this wadding around it that would keep the water from coming out of it. Of course, that would wear out, and then you'd have basically a sieve in the front of your engine. But if you look at the design of the original Dodge Brothers engine and the Ford Flathead, you can see where they drew a lot from Old Henry.
Well, they drew a lot from Old Henry because it was the Dodge Brothers that was actually making them.
And there you go. But I love cars. I used to go to the Harrah's Museum up in Reno a lot, just all over the place, different museums. Never seen one of these.
No, I've never even heard of one of these. Still, especially being in existence.
When I looked online to find out what how many were original, how many were still around, I found 3 1929 hearses by the Dodge Brothers scattered all over the world. One in Sydney, one in Adelaide in Australia, and one in South Carolina. Never saw a 1920. So the rarity of this vehicle in original condition at over 100 years old is quite something. That it isn't in the Arizona heat
And surviving.
dry and free of all the road chemicals in the winter is probably a testament to why things in Arizona last so long that are vehicle.
Well, no, it did come from up north somewhere. I can't remember exactly where he said, but he did get it from up north somewhere, but it had been in a garage for 20 years.
Wow. Just absolutely beautiful. Hopefully, when you're done with it and it gets returned to the owner, he will find a way to preserve it indoors, or perhaps get into a museum somewhere where future generations will be able to have access to it and look at it.
Absolutely.
But until then, friends, family, subscribers, this is it. This is the video on this vehicle, and others like it. There's no others.
Now, maybe once I get it running, you guys come back and do a follow-up and, see it run. And
that would be fantastic.
Maybe see you drive it up and down the block a couple of times just so they could see it rolling. Oops.
We'll load everybody up in the back and go around the block a couple times.
There you go.
That'd be amazing.
Fantastic. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Tell all your friends, man. We do stuff like this all the time.
And, and if you're looking for a great mechanic, I don't know how much work you're going to want, but Here in Sierra Vista, if you're looking for a real good mechanic, he's one of the best in town.
Thanks.
He's the one that's going to bring the Trailblazer back tomorrow morning so we can get back out in the desert and go after some of these abandoned mines and keep our videos going. Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you again.
More to follow.